I am Anna Pollard from the Dog House Leicester, and I'm joined today by Sian from Millenbrook Luxury Dog Boarding in Pembrokeshire. So we're here today to talk a little bit about the rise in dog thefts that we've seen and things that people can put in place to prevent their dog being stolen, and also what to do if their dog does get stolen. So this is something that we've become very aware of through the rising cases we've seen at the minute, but also concerns that both Sian and I are seeing from our clients. So Sian has been doing loads and loads of stuff on social media around prevention of dog thefts, and this will be going live on the 14th of March, which is Dog Theft Prevention Day and the start of Pet Theft Prevention Week, which runs from the 14th to the 21st of March. So welcome, Sian. Tell us a little bit about you, what you do and your background.
Hi Anna, thanks for asking me to take part in this today. I'm Sian. I own Millenbrook Luxury Dog Boarding here in Pembrokeshire. We started 3 years ago when I was still in the police. So I was a police officer for 20 years, the majority of which was on the horses, where I was based in Bridgend, but covered big events in Cardiff and Swansea and all over the country really. My husband and I decided that we wanted to relocate from Cardiff to a quieter part of the world for a safer and better lifestyle for our two young boys. So we transferred police forces in 2017 to Dyfed-Powys and relocated to Pembrokeshire. Within 6 months, we'd set up dog home boarding. So we've got 10 acres, small holding here, and we thought it was ideal for home boarding for dogs. We had the dog ourselves and have always loved dogs. And it just went crazy from there. We were inundated with requests for boarding. And within a year of being down here, I was offered a voluntary redundancy in the police, and just saw it as an amazing opportunity to expand the business. So I gracefully accepted, and we expanded the business to build a country retreat for dogs, which opened in September, just gone. Obviously didn't expect a global pandemic to hit us because we should have opened in the April, but delayed to the September. But hoping things will pick up now. But with the pandemic, obviously we saw a huge increase, especially recently in dog thefts. And with my background in the police, I thought it would be great to be able to offer people advice on how to prevent themselves becoming victims, because it's risen. Initially, it was reported it was risen 170%, but I heard reports yesterday that it had gone up 250%. So I just felt that with my background of being offering crime prevention and go into calls of thefts, that I would hopefully be able to help people.
Definitely, it's such a fascinating background, and it sounds like you had a fabulous career in the police with horses and your partner with the dogs as well. And there's some scary figures, aren't they, with the increase in dog thefts, and it does put you on high alert. So as a dog owner, obviously myself and yourself, it's really quite worrying, and I think that's where a lot of my clients have got a bit concerned about everything now. So we thought this would be quite a good platform. So we'll dive straight into the questions with the theme that prevention is better than cure. So what is the best way to prevent your dog from being stolen? And keep them safe.
If we start from the home environment, so you think of when you're at home, don't let your dog go outside on its own to toilets. Over the years, we probably all opened the back door and just let the dog out, let them potter around the garden, happy as Larry. But these days, they are being targeted. People are looking over garden walls, especially if your house is on a back alleyway. People do sort of go up and down the alleyways looking over garden walls and things. So keep a very close eye on them. Go outside with them on every occasion. As difficult as it may be, especially when it's raining, go outside or at least stand on the doorstep and keep an eye on them. Second thing is obviously make sure your garden is secure. Firstly, so that they don't escape. You don't want your dog getting through a hedge or jumping over a small fence. But secondly, have that barrier in place to make it difficult for people to get into your garden. If you've got gates, make sure that they're locked. If they can't be locked, you could possibly use a bell or an alarm that alerts you when it's being opened. Think about lighting in your garden. So you could have security lights that come on if somebody enters your garden. This will alert you to somebody's presence. Also CCTV cameras. They have come down in price recently, so they're not a huge cost. If you can't afford to get CCTV cameras, there's really, really good replicas. So dummy cameras that even have flashing lights on them. Even that and CCTV signs is a really good deterrent and will make somebody think twice about targeting your property.
No, I didn't know that. That's really interesting. And I think, yeah, the more deterrents we can put in place, I mean, my German Shepherds are a fairly big deterrent for anyone, but with the smaller dogs and dogs that are sort of easier to pick up out of gardens, it really makes you think twice, doesn't it?
Yeah. Also, it was a big craze a while ago to put signs on the front of your house, maybe in the window or on the front door, saying German Shepherd lives here, or something like that, which back in the day was probably a good deterrent for you not to get burgled. But now obviously you're advertising the fact that you've got dogs in the house, which if somebody wanted to steal a dog, then it's a great advert for them. So I would recommend taking them down if you have got them, and put a CCTV sign in place maybe.
Yeah, that's a good shout, because actually thinking about it, on both of our vehicles, because we've got canine transport boxes, we both have dogs in transit on our cars. And although it's all completely lockable, it's not when you stop and think about how much you've got that advertises that you're a dog owner, that you think twice about it, don't you?
Yeah.
So when we're looking at dogs' collars and what they're wearing, so dogs should, I think, is it by law, should have a collar on with their details on?
So it's a legal requirement now for all dogs to be microchipped, and it's a legal requirement for dogs to wear collars when they're in public. So if they're in your garden or in your home, they don't need to wear them. But when out and about in public, they should have a collar on with an identity tag on it, not with their name on. A lot of people put their own dog's names on, which of course, if somebody wanted to befriend a dog and gain its trust, would use its name. So it's advisable not to put the dog's name on, but perhaps put your surname on, address and telephone number. Because of course, if your dog does get lost, most genuine people will have a look at the tag on the collar, see the telephone number and give you a ring. So that's a legal requirement in public to identify yourselves as the owners.
Yeah, I'm forever finding lost dogs. My other half despairs because I'm like, oh, I found another dog. Let's take it home for a bit and ring out to owners. And he's always like, oh, not another one. Well, I think, well, I'd rather pick it up and it be safe, because you never know, the next person might not be safe. So I'm forever looking at collars, and actually in the salon, when we have dogs in, it's something we quite often check, and we'll always double check emergency contact details with people as well. So when we're out and about walking our dogs, obviously it's good to have a solid recall for dogs, and obviously if your dog doesn't recall, like my little terrier, he never goes off of his lead. But also, what deterrents can people use when they are out walking? Because there's a bit of a fine line, isn't there, between what we can do and what we can't do, and also what could then put yourself in harm's way. So if you could cover that a bit for us, that'd be great.
So first of all, I'd say walk in public areas, somewhere that's busy, where you know there's people around. Just the safety in numbers, isn't it? So if something does happen, there's people close by. I know that can't always be the case, and people do like to walk in isolated areas, especially if they have unsociable dogs. Also consider varying your routes and the times and days that you go to those certain places, just so that people who may be watching don't see a pattern emerging and know that you're going to be there on a certain time, certain day of the week. If you can, under the government guidelines with the pandemic, if you can walk with somebody, then that's brilliant. It's always best to be in pairs. Socially distanced, of course, at the moment. And obviously it's fun to have another person or another dog with you on the walk. With regards to what you are legally allowed to carry, there's a lot in the media at the moment with people saying that they're buying sprays and arming themselves with different things. Unfortunately, you cannot carry these items. The only legal item that you can carry at the moment is a personal attack alarm. So this is something that you could carry in your pocket and activate should you need to. It makes a really, really loud noise that hopefully will scare somebody away or give you a chance to run away from them, because the noise might sort of
startling them a bit.
Yeah. And that is the only legal thing you can carry. So with regards to sprays, although it says on the internet that they are legal in the UK, and I've seen a lot of people saying that they are carrying them, you can't technically carry them, because if you use them and assault somebody, if that person makes a complaint, you could be arrested for assault. Unfortunately, there's been no test cases go to court yet where it's been tried, and that's why it's such a grey area. And as much as people want to protect themselves, and I understand that, but by carrying something like that, or a tin of hairspray or something, if you're carrying it with the intention of hurting somebody or spraying them in the face or whatever, then you could be sort of questioned about carrying an offensive weapon and assaulting somebody. You are allowed to use reasonable force. So under common law, if somebody approaches you and you feel that you're going to be assaulted or your dog is going to be taken, you can use reasonable force to prevent that crime from happening. But of course, it has to be reasonable to the circumstances, and you have to justify it. So if you ended up being questioned by the police or going in front of a court of law, it's down to you to justify your actions.
And also, I suppose, yeah, absolutely. And I suppose the risk is if you use like a pepper spray, for example, if you spray that at someone and the wind's in the wrong direction, it could end up in your eyes and your dog's eyes, and then you're no better off.
Absolutely. And as a police officer who has been in that position before and had to use CS spray to try and get somebody under control, that has happened to me, where it has sort of blown back in the wind, and it's me that's been affected and not the criminal. So yeah, it's definitely something to bear in mind.
Yeah. Can't imagine it's very pleasant.
Yeah, it's not nice. So yeah, it's just a personal attack alarm that you can legally carry. That's it. But as I said about the self-defense thing, if you feel under threat, you are within your right to defend yourself in throwing a preemptive strike, which would be punching somebody to the chest or to the face, whatever you can justify. So you are allowed to do that. But the best solution is to not get yourself in that situation in the first place, and to keep your distance from people. If people are encroaching on your personal space, then feel free to say, get back, or move out, get out of my way, or be quite assertive, because you don't want people coming that close to you and your dog.
No, and that's something we touched on the other day. So for me, my biggest shepherd is slightly reactive. If someone was to get really, really in my face, there is a chance that he could then bite someone. And then also, how do you stand? But like you say, if you could shout, if you do have a reactive dog to people, if you can shout like step back, get away, then you almost cover yourself, don't you, if anyone was to approach you and anything was to happen.
Yeah, and say to them, my dog will bite you if you come too close. And then if they do come too close and your dog has bitten them, at least you've given them that warning. Yeah,
so you've covered your back on that one almost. So if you were questioned, you could say, I did shout a warning. It's so interesting, isn't it, when you get into it? There's so much to pick apart. So what should you do if your dog is stolen? What action should you take?
Okay, so it's really important to remain calm. Obviously, you're probably going to be quite upset and hysterical if it's just happened in front of you. If it has happened in front of you and the person's literally just taking your dog, you can ring 999 and report it to the police. It's important to make a note of descriptions of the person or persons involved, taking particular note of any distinguishing features or any tattoos, marks or scars, something that will help the police identify that person. Colours of clothing, any logos or anything on the clothing. Again, anything that's going to help the police might being able to identify that person. And in particular, making any note of any vehicles that they've made off in. Take a note of the number plate if you can, perhaps take a photograph of it on your mobile phone. Any stickers on the car or the van or any roof rack, just something that sort of identifies the vehicle. If you're good with cars and you know the make and model, then brilliant, that will really help. But yes, a number plate would be brilliant. So yeah, so phone 999 if it's happening. If it's not happening at the time and there's no sort of threat to you or anybody else, then you phone 101, the non-police emergency number, to report it. You should be given an incident number and then later on a crime number, which you can use to follow up, make follow-up calls if you want any updates on the crime. It's brilliant these days, we've got social media, so it's really important to post something on dog groups that you're on, perhaps local dog groups, and perhaps further afield as well. I forgot to mention earlier, it's really important to have a photograph of your dog from the front and from the side, and any distinguishing sort of marks on the dog that would identify the dog as yours. So post a photograph on social media, and it's really important to put the location of where your dog's missing or stolen from, because I see so many posts on social media that get shared and shared and shared, but it doesn't say where they're from, and it's like, that's no help. So yeah, be accurate with the time, date and location, where the dog was last seen or was stolen from, and mention that it's been reported to the police. You can notify your council dog warden as well, let them know that your dog's missing or stolen, and again, local vets, and yeah, any other group. So even neighbouring council dog wardens, let them know as well. Yeah, if there's anything else.
Yeah, no, and then in terms of databases for stolen dogs, is there anywhere that that logs it all at all?
So there isn't a national database, there isn't just one, but there's places like doglost.co.uk and the National Pet Register, who log lost and found pets. So yeah, obviously notify them as well. They've got social media accounts and they will share, especially Dog Lost. I see a lot of them sharing posts with pictures and helping sort of coordinate sort of searches for the dogs. Mm-hmm. I know a lot of areas use drones these days as well to search for missing or stolen dogs. So
yeah, it's amazing what you can do with technology, isn't it?
Yeah.
And whilst we're on the subject of sort of social media being really, really helpful for tracking down dogs and obviously sharing information, there's also, I've noticed, quite a lot of scaremongering going on. So how do you know what your reason on social media is genuine or if it is a bit of a scare tactic? And what's best to believe and best to take with a pinch of salt?
Okay, so the only ones I would definitely believe are the police and council, so official people that are sharing information. I would take everything else with a pinch of salt. There is a lot of scaremongering and it is worrying people. I speak to the local police here, and although in social media it's reported that there's been this huge increase in dog theft, it's not actually being reported to the police. So the police aren't aware that there's a problem. I don't know if it is going on or if it is people wanting a few minutes of fame on social media. So yeah, just take everything with a little bit of caution. Don't believe everything that you read. Believe the official sources, like I said, the police, the government, the RSPCA, your local vets or whatever. Mm-hmm. But everything else, just be careful. And of course, the main thing that how all this started for me was that I posted something on social media about Meet My Dog Challenge, and it was posting a picture of your dog and put in so much information about your dog. And although it might seem like a really good bit of fun, we all love our dogs, we all want to show them off. Actually, it's a really great advert for would-be thieves to know everything about your dog. And you might think that your social media security is really good, but actually these people can find out where you are. So I did a post on that, not to jump on that bandwagon and share all your details. And it had over 5,000 shares, ended up on the other side of the world as well.
So see, that just shows the power of social media, doesn't it, and how far stuff can travel. You might think it's safe sharing it with your friends, but once it's shared and shared and shared, you have no idea who's seeing it, and you're giving away, like you say, your location, your dog's name, their favourite treats, their favourite toy, their favourite walk.
Just be careful, make sure that your security settings are really, really private. And as I said, although we love to share photos of our dogs and tell everybody how proud we are of them, just be very careful where you are posting to.
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot to think about there, isn't there? And a lot that you take for granted and don't realise that's out in the big wide world. So thank you for joining us today. That's been really, really helpful. So if people want to find out more about you and Millenbrook Luxury Dog Boarding, where can they find out about you?
So website is millenbrook.co.uk. We're on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. I have created some dog theft prevention leaflets that are on our website and Facebook page. So please feel free to have a little look, and you're welcome to share them as well from the Facebook page.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for coming along, and thank you for your time today, because I've found some of this information invaluable, and I'm sure that lots of my followers will as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Anna. I hope it has been helpful, and keep your dog safe.
Yes, you too. Take care. Bye-bye.